us. Could you state your name and the university that you are affiliated with?
Of course, yes. My name is Ingrid Aguayo Fuentealba, and I am representing the Department of Forestry at Michigan State University.
Thank you. So you have a presentation on forestry for us. And
Yes.
so if you could, please share, and then I'll follow up with some PK specific questions.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity, and thank you to all of you that are watching this. So as I was saying, I am in the Department of Forestry. I'm the academic advisor for the Department of Forestry. I'm a forester myself. And so I can talk about very well of all the things that are exciting about forestry. Let's see if I can get the next one. There we go. So we always joke about how sometimes we don't know what to tell people what a forester does, but forestry is many, many things. And as you can see here from the slide, it's a science and an art. Many times we can think about the biology behind trees and the ecology of a forest or the how forests interact with all the organisms that live in it. And sometimes we need to, as humans, we decide to manage some of those forests for a certain objective. It can be conservation, it could be for wood products, it could be for non-traditional wood products, and so on and so forth. And we get to the field and we realize that what we had thought about the management in paper may not be as easy. So we also think about the artistic part of things and how we have to be flexible. So it's a science and an art when we manage a forest. You can make a profession out of this. So a lot of people don't think about forestry as a profession. A lot of people love being outside, especially our students that are in forestry. They love being outside and doing work outside. So, and you can make it a profession. So you can, if you're that kind of person, you can be part of your time at work being in the office and the other time being outside in the field. We talk about sustainability, so thinking about how to make our forests live throughout years and years, and making sure that any product that we take out of the forest can also be sustainable. So we're not cutting down the forest, all of it, to produce these products, but we want to make sure that they're sustainable. Forestry is more than trees. It's the animals that live in it, all the organisms that live in it. It's water, it's soil, so many things. And when we talk about forestry, we also talk about ecosystem services. So what does the ecosystem provide service to humans, not only humans, but the other organisms that are in there? So forestry is considered a STEM major. So you have to have your science, your biology, your chemistry, math in there, and sometimes engineering as well. It integrates all these different topics. We also do a lot of the social science because many times we have to communicate with landowners, stakeholders about what a forest is doing and how we want to get to the next step of that forest cycle. There is a lot of opportunities for hands-on learning. So if you like that kind of learning yourself while you're in high school, this might be an option for you. We do a lot of, like I said before, we're outside a lot, so a lot of field studies. Because it's hands-on, so we emphasize, our program emphasizes experiential learning. So you're not only learning the theory of it, you're actually doing it as well. When you are in forestry in our program, and that's part of my job, is to help you find internships, or if you, whatever interests you have, connect you with the right people within the university or even outside the university, so you can develop that area that you are interested in. So I do a lot of the advising as well. So making sure that you're on track and that you're going to finish in the 4 years that the program is. It's a 4-year program. And another important thing is that we're accredited by the Society of American Foresters, which is a professional association that also guides us on letting us know that we're doing the right thing. Did it go the next one? Nope. Okay, here we go. So here are all the areas of studies that we have in our program. So some people might be interested more in the biology, the ecology, the management of the forest. We also have courses on the human dimensions, economics and policies in forestry. So if you think about laws or guides that are written to manage a forest. We think about the education, the outreach of forestry. That was one of my jobs that I had before coming to Michigan State University, is doing a lot of education and outreach of things that happen in the forest and sometimes people don't understand. For example, wildfires, that many wildfires are natural things within a forest ecosystem, or insects or pests and things like that, and talk about those. Nowadays, we think about forestry only in the rural areas, but it's actually also present in the urban areas, because if you go to any city, there's going to be parks and there's going to be trees lining the streets, and so all those trees have to be overseen by what could be parks and recreation of a city, and so foresters actually also work in that in those sectors. If we talk about climate change or climate adaptability, so how are we looking at we're looking at trees, if they can adapt to the changes in climate that we've seen in the past hundreds of years, and how are these trees storing carbon? So we think about carbon being in the atmosphere, especially CO2, and we know that trees are able to capture that and take it out of the air and produce oxygen. So we also do a lot of research on that. If you're the kind of person that likes data, and so you might be in the field capturing all that data, looking at the diameters of trees, looking at heights of trees, looking at other regeneration, if they're little plants of those big trees that you're seeing. And so that's how foresters are able to look at a forest and describe it, and then all that data gets put in the computer, and you can actually see patterns, and so you can be informed about the status of that forest. And so if you like that type of things, and modeling as well, what these forests could look like in 10 years, 50 years, or 100 years down the road. And that's all done with computer modeling of managing all that data. And one of the last topics that we also touch on are sustainable bioproducts. We have experts here at Michigan State University that do a lot of research on a lot of the waste that is produced sometimes in producing saw logs, or producing pulp in areas. So any of that waste that some of these industries have, we can actually use that part of the wood and be able to produce products that are sustainable and that are reusable, recyclable, and so on and so forth. Computer's being a little bit slow. So I love to look at this poster, and I don't know how if you can see it very well on your end, but this was produced by the Society of American Foresters, kind of looking at, what can I do with a forestry degree? And as you can see here, there are many branches, no pun intended, of forestry. When I think about my career as a forester, I specialized in forest entomology, so that means I looked at the interaction with bugs and trees, and I was concerned about people putting a lot of pesticides trying to get rid of the bugs that were attacking their trees or affecting their trees. And so one of the things I looked into is my research was in how can we find the weak link in the insect and maybe trap them because they're attracted to some odors, and that way they don't affect the tree. And so I kind of concentrated in kind of the bottom right side of that poster in forest entomology. So I was a forest entomologist, or I still am, and also worked with the U.S. Forest Service in the forest health area, looking at overall areas of forests and trying to see what were the issues, if the forests were healthy, and if they weren't, what can we do about it? So lots of opportunities, and I'm not going to go into each and every one of these. For those of you that are thinking about college or are getting close to college, so our major would be forestry. And within colleges, you can also choose kind of specific specialties. And so we have a couple of them. We have a sustainable bioproducts. So this is more of the chemical engineering part of coming up with new products that would use, like I mentioned, some of these wood waste that sometimes industries has put out, or come up with new bioproducts that are sustainable throughout years. Urban and community forestry is another minor that's fairly new, getting you with the tools that you could be more prepared when you're looking for those city jobs in forestry. And if you happen to decide an other major, you can also get a forestry minor, so you can learn about forestry a little bit more. If you're, for example, I don't know, if you're thinking of education, for example, being a teacher, and you want to minor in forestry because you really like being outside and learning about biology in a way with forests, so you can learn about forestry and get your minor, and then be a teacher that has that minor in forestry, which will get you ahead. What are some of the student experiences that, these are some of the comments we've had with our students that have done internships. So there are many different experiences. Our students need to do an internship in a summer, either in their sophomore year or junior year. And here's some of their comments about, working in a forestry area. So, working in Northern Alaska, if that's something that you'd like to do, making sure that he is a firefighter, was doing his internship in firefighting, so you can see them here. Another student, they got to spend their whole summer backpacking and hiking because she was getting information about a particular forest here in Michigan. And was looking at trails and how to make these trails in within the Wilderness Act, which is a policy, a law. We have another student here that also got to be in a beautiful area in Royal National Park, which is here in Michigan, in Lake Superior. Is an island. And they were looking at collecting data throughout the island, and again was able to camp 7 nights a week if that's your cup of tea. If you like to do that, that those are experiences that we can find for you, and you can utilize all the knowledge that you've acquired when you're doing your forestry degree. Again, we already talked about some of the topic areas. Business is also forest economy, forest natural resource policy. So forestry is everywhere. We always say that trees are the answer. So any interest that you may have, you might find it in forestry. We do have scholarships. About 42% of our students are in these scholarships. If you apply to MSU and you're interested in forestry, depending on your GPA, you don't even have to apply for it. You automatically are put into the students that would be eligible for a scholarship. You need to have a 3.8 GPA when you finish cumulative when you finish high school to be able to be eligible for these. When you are part of this scholarship, you're also part of a Forest Forever group. So all of the students are obtaining some kind of scholarship, and we do a lot of community service through this grouping as well. So it's really fun to be part of that community. If you want to find out more about forestry, you can contact me. My name is Ingrid Aguayo, and that's my email right there, my phone number directly here at the office. And you can follow us on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube, where you will find more information about our program and some videos that are really fun that some of our students have made. So thank you.
Wow, this was so informational. Thanks for sharing. I have a couple of follow-up questions.
Sure.
What advice would you give a PK Young student who may be considering Michigan State University for their next steps?
Yeah, definitely reaching out to admissions. And I don't have much information on the process before you get to forestry, but our website at MSU, just Googling or going into msu.edu and looking at the steps. So there's a web page that will take you step by step on how to apply. And then asking questions. If there's a phone number and email, just email your questions to them. Maybe you'll get a video conference, and that way you can get that out of the way right away.
And I remember when I met you at the OM Worlds
Yes.
competition, you shared about high school experiences, summer experiences. Can you talk a little bit about some of the opportunities that students could potentially apply to be a part of?
Yeah, I know that throughout the if any of your students are part of 4-H, for example, in Florida, there's some opportunities there, some 4-H programs that are available in the summer. I don't have specific information about it. I can send you a follow-up email with where we have all those programs in there's also a multicultural scholars program that is provided in the summertime for juniors. If they're thinking about any natural resources, they can apply. And again, I'll send you that information because I don't have the specifics. But yeah, there are opportunities. What is the other one that I was just thinking about? Oh, I forgot. But again, at msu.edu, if you look into summer programs for high school, there are a couple. I think osteopathic. So for those students that are interested in the medical sciences, they also have some programs there. Better to do it when you're a junior. If you're a senior and you are already thinking about MSU and you are accepted, there's some opportunities to study abroad even before you get to university. So again, all those specifics are at msu.edu. So make sure you go to our website, and if you find a phone number or an email, just get in contact with the people that have the details.
Okay. My last question.
Yeah.
If you could describe MSU's forestry program experience in one word or phrase, what would it be and why?
That is so hard, but definitely I would say I'll put a phrase together. Trees are the answer, and forestry is fun.
Mm.
Yes, yes,
Well, thank you for taking the time to speak with our community. We greatly appreciate it.
no problem. Thank you.